Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research, and I'm here in Vienna, Austria at NiCE's Industry Analyst Conference. I'm a fellow analyst, Katherine Stone, with CX Foundation. We're going to be talking a little AI, a little NiCE, a little Cognigy. Before I get into that, though, this is your first time on with me, so just a little information on who you are and what CX Foundation does.
Absolutely. My name's Katherine Stone. I work for a company called the CX Foundation. You may remember us as GetVoIP from back in the day.
I do remember GetVoIP.
We fortunately rebranded and we're starting an exciting new chapter. And I am very pleased to be stepping up in a new role as an analyst, an industry analyst. We analyze both CX trends in the broad, more general sense, so more layman's terms, explaining things to software buyers and even employees that may not know what they need and that sometimes lack the basic definition and understanding of exactly what contact center software is, what it can and can't do, and what the features and capabilities are that will have the biggest impact on you and your company, and helping you find your priorities within the CCaaS vendor, now technology partner space. So CX Foundation has existed for about a year now, so we're very happy to be coming out on the scene and coming out in the space, and thrilled to be here in beautiful Vienna learning from everybody.
All right, so I guess since everybody has VoIP.
They got VoIP.
Yeah. Now, since you are looking at those trends, I'm curious as to what you're seeing there, right? And it's funny that you used both the term CX and CCaaS, because while they're related, they are not equal.
Exactly.
Right? And so when you're talking to customers about what they're thinking about from an CX and AI standpoint, how much of that is CCaaS, how much of it isn't?
It depends.
Or adjacent, I guess. Yeah.
I think it depends completely on what the customer is trying to accomplish, right? They may have more initial familiarity with the term contact center. So we start there, but then we want to make it clear to them that the capabilities that they think they're going to be getting with a traditional contact center, some may even still think it's a call center. A CX platform, customer experience platform, will take that to the next level, especially when it comes to automation and AI. And I think one of the biggest trends that I've been seeing recently is really the shift away from a technology vendor and a shift towards a long-term, sustainable, organic, agile technology partnership. So a vendor would kind of set the clock and leave, like a deist approach. They're giving you the platform, good luck. A technology partner works with you, looking at your current data, looking at your long and short-term goals, and looking at your customer base. Then they choose the features, the capabilities, and the platform based on their product offerings that would be the best for you. And they can integrate with the existing tools that you already know and love and that you're comfortable with. So it's not a rip and replace overnight. Yeah. You're kind of getting your sea legs. You're able to go at your own pace, but you have someone guiding you and walking you through, and you have somebody building a bespoke plan for you and your organization.
Well, that's certainly a lot more complicated than what companies have done in the past. It's interesting too, because the concept of that CX foundation, if you will, varies by who you talk to, right? So if you talk to NiCE, they're going to think of the concept of CCaaS and the end-to-end platform as being defined within the contact center world, plus some other stuff. Right? If you go to like Adobe Summit, it's a very sales and marketing focused message, right? But then there's companies like Quantometrics and Qualtrics and things that look at like web analytics, and they're all going to talk about customer experience, and they're all right. But the reality is today that nobody really understands end-to-end customer experience, because that's actually first mouse click to product retirement. Right. And I am seeing more vendors talk about being open and things like that and interoperate, which gives me some hope that actually someday somebody will understand that. Right. And I think since everything's moving to agentic bots, maybe there's some hope that eventually these bots can talk to each other.
Right, AI orchestration, exactly.
Yeah, and be able to do that. So, but I think NiCE gets about as close as you can. And want to get your thoughts there. You know, They were very prescient, I guess, in the vision in 2016 when they bought InContact, because they were just a WFM vendor.
Right.
And I just actually wrote a post for SiliconANGLE that talked about thoughts from the event. And one of the things I said was you can't Frankenstein CX. And if you look at a lot of their competitors, they've got the core CCaaS platform, they bolt on companies like Verint, they bolt on Calabrio, they bolt, there's all these other companies that you bolt on. And there's an expression in data sciences that I've said, like, good data leads to good insights, but silos of data lead to fragmented insights. And I think a lot of those Frankenstein approaches lead to siloed insights, right? And so when you look at NiCE, when you think about the totality of what you have, how big do you think that platform advantage is?
One of the things that stuck with me about the event and about some of the conversations that we've had here is that people have got to move away from this technology first approach. They know they want AI. They're not really sure why they want it, but they know they can't not have it. And so what I think is wonderful about NiCE is that it's gonna meet that demand. You're going to get the AI, it's gonna be okay, but you're also going to get an omni-channel experience that's actually seamless. You're going to get conversational AI insights. You're going to get real-time agent coaching. And so this consolidation of your tech stack is actually possible because you're getting almost all of your needs met in one single platform, which makes it way less overwhelming for your team.
Yeah.
Much less, we hope, of a shorter onboarding process, faster time to value. But I also think when people say something's intuitive, it never is.
Yeah.
However, NiCE is about as close as you can get to an intuitive platform that's not intimidating to its user base, regardless of their experience with AI. And I would say it helps you avoid that Frankenstein approach of you're just kind of throwing, in some cases, a couple hundred applications and third-party integrations and APIs at the wall and seeing what sticks. NiCE kind of gets you out of the weeds there, gets you to a great starting point, but then helps you gradually scale up both in size and features. So you're not constantly learning, relearning, adding, subtracting. Once you get the hang of how to use one platform, suddenly you're switched to another. So it's a much more streamlined, focused process for you, and that's your customers are going to see the benefit of that, and your customers will have more independence.
Yeah. So I think the proof point for NiCE's platform is actually when they tell me when they win a competitive deal, they often replace a dozen or more other companies.
That would make sense.
Yeah, and I think the only other vendor that really does that is AWS with Connect, Amazon Connect, and I think there's other interesting competitors. Like I think Zoom's got a really interesting platform approach. They tend to be building their own, but a lot of these legacy guys, like Genesys and things, there's just a lot of bolt-ons, and I do think AI will create some competitive share shift because of that. And that to me is going to be really fascinating to watch. Now, one of the adjacencies that NiCE has added is Agentic AI, and they did that through the acquisition of Cognigy. This is the first time I think a lot of the analysts here have encountered Cognigy.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm just curious what you thought of what you saw.
So we were treated to a couple hours long demo of NiCE Cognigy's AI, Agentic AI virtual agent yesterday.
It wasn't long enough. It was about an hour, and I thought they could have gone. Yeah.
I could have stayed there through breakfast, lunch, maybe gone out for a glass of wine at 4, and then come back and had it for dinner, because it seems like there's so much that it can do. And we were speaking last night, and you brought up something that explained it very well, is that NiCE brings you the data, and Cognigy brings you the AI capabilities. And if you want to talk about trends in the customer experience space, voice AI, get ready for 2026, because it's going to be a lot, in my opinion, a lot of voice virtual agents. And what struck me was, one, the flexibility of the AI models and the different ways that you could use AI within the Cognigy acquisition and space, but also how omni-channel you could be in terms of both testing, deploying, and customizing all of those bots. I mean, And what another success that I saw was that they really do have AI for every level of AI familiarity.
Yeah.
My favorite, and I've never seen something like this before, so I just thought it was fun, was the virtual AI job market that they created. So what Cognigy did in their NiCE partnership is they created a virtual job board that's filled with just AI agents. So you can browse and you can see, and they each have avatars. I mean, they look like people. So you'll see this AI would be great for building out your knowledge base, or this AI is great for live in conversation agent assist. But they also, you can break it down and see the code. So if you are a little bit more tech savvy, you have a little more familiarity with that. You have that flexibility to be able to see what's going on under the hood. And if you don't like the pre-built, ready-made AI bots, you can also completely customize one from the ground up, changing, of course, language spoken, but also the style of speech. Are you going to be more direct, or do you want something that's a little more personable? And I should be clear, so let me go back a little bit. When I say pre-built and ready-made AI bots, I'm not talking about one size fits all.
Yeah.
Which I think is a big differentiator for NiCE. So what they do is they use conversational insights and then just your standard KPIs that we all know and love to build you in seconds a truly bespoke AI agent based on your exact data, and they give you the projections for when you can expect to see change. And I think that is a big differentiator, because a lot of the things that we hear from customers are, we need somebody with a proven roadmap to AI success.
Yeah.
We need somebody that can actually tell us how to onboard because they've done it successfully.
Yeah.
So if I can understand how it works within the course of an hour and a half, 2 hours, I think and I'm not as tech savvy as some analysts, so I think it's very approachable, but it's also going to be a huge reward for not very little effort, but for way less effort than you might expect.
Yeah,
So,
one of the things actually that I really liked about their demos too, and you guys actually wrote about that MIT report.
Oh God, how much time do you have to talk about that thing?
Which I actually find for you folks at MIT, publishing that was completely irresponsible.
Yeah, we looked at the data methodology, and
Yeah.
you kind of hit a few things.
But I get what they say, but and the report we're referring to says 95% of AI projects failed in the pilot phase. Now, if you go back to the early days of cloud or mobile or internet, I would say probably 95% of those projects failed too. Didn't mean the trend didn't happen. It just meant people's expectations were wrong. Now, one of the things in Carlet's demo that I thought was really interesting was it showed the impact on, say, average handle time or containment or something like that over how many months and when you should expect to see 52%, within 18 months you'll see 52% of your call containment handled or something like that. But what that does is it helps the customer understand what you should expect this month, next month, the month after. Excuse me. And then as you're going through deployment, you can track to that, and if you're behind or ahead, you can adjust your strategy.
Exactly.
Right. And so I think part of the reason I think AI projects have failed, if you want to call it that, is I just don't think people really knew what to expect.
I think the expectations are completely out of touch with reality in some cases, especially on the C-suite and the executive level, because there's a sense, I almost call it like a sense of panic about we're getting behind because we don't do enough with AI. Oh my God, our competitors are so, just because somebody's using AI doesn't automatically mean they're ahead.
Yeah.
But just to circle back to the MIT study, as long as, let's say the data was perfect, let's say it was correct, let's say none of my criticisms turn out to be valid. Interesting, but okay, we'll go there for the sake of experimentation. As long as I have a 5% success rate, and as long as I figure out eventually something that does work and does provide the deliverables and does meet and sometimes even exceed my expectations, I don't expect something to work overnight. I expect to have to tinker with it and to try and experiment with it, and I want to dig into the data. both from my customers and my employees to see what's working and what's not. So I think 2026 will be a year of adjusting expectations, of learning what questions to ask your technology partners, these platform vendors, as they used to be called, and understanding the specific capabilities that you need and having a better comfort and familiarity level with what AI can and can't do and how it can do it.
Yeah, I think 26 will be interesting to watch too, because I do think there's a certain level of urgency, and I think maybe more than CEO Scott Russell indicated during his talk track, because he did say speed's a choice. You can, and I wasn't sure I was super fond of that description, and what he meant was you can choose to go fast or not. You got to get the ball rolling.
It's
though.
About moving forward.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
it's not speed,
yeah.
but it's about just get on the path.
Yeah, and then adjust as you go on. Now, the message of speed's a choice may make some customers think that I don't need to move fast. And right now, I think we're early enough in the cycle that speed perhaps is a choice. But I was in an event last month, and the speaker from Microsoft said there won't be any fast followers of the AI. Like this market is moving fast, and so while speed's a choice today, I'm not sure it's going to be a year from now, right? And so you do need to hop on the AI wagon and start moving forward with it. And when I talked to Tice Wanders from Cognigy, I asked him for some advice for customers, and he said, you just got to do it. Yeah. And in fact, I've heard from many customers too. It's like, how'd you get started? We just got started.
We just did it. No, yeah. It's so much, just throw yourself in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be a little bit of a hot mess at the start, but I think people will be pleasantly surprised by how much less intimidating, especially with the NiCE and Cognigy acquisition, how much less intimidating it is than they expected.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to shift a little bit and talk about kind of risks to NiCE and really the competitive landscape here with CCaaS vendors. One of the when I was talking to them at dinner, I was we were discussing messaging to customers, and I said you need to be a little more firm in your messaging around you need to do AI now. I also don't think you should shy away from the message that AI is going to take some agent jobs. Now, I do think it's going to create new jobs.
Yes.
I'm just not sure what we know what those are.
And I'm not sure what the timeline's going to be.
Yeah, and but it will create new jobs. In fact, David Solomon, the CEO of Goldman, I was at an event where he said every tech transformation has done three things. It's gotten rid of jobs, it's raised productivity, and it's created new jobs.
Right.
So there's some pain in the transition, right? And when I described that to the NiCE person, he said, well, if you talk to our customers, that's kind of a harsh message. But what my discussion with Cognigy really solidified in my mind is that the buyer's changing, right? When Cognigy sells, they're not really dealing with this contact center manager. They're dealing with the CIO or chief digital officer or someone else in the C-suite.
Right.
And in fact, I was texting with a reseller buddy of mine last night, and he even said the same thing. He goes, most of our deals now with AI are going through the C-suite. It's not a contact center buy. And so my question for NiCE is, do they have the sales motion and the marketing chops and things like that to talk to the C-suite, CIO, buyers like that versus the traditional contact center buyer? And time will tell. Scott's
that
a pretty...
was my exact
statement.
Yeah. Time will tell.
Yeah.
But I mean, Scott's certainly a talker.
Yeah.
And he's, obviously highly motivated. And he said, we want to be the number one AI CX, what was it? We want to be the number one AI for CX platform in this space. And I think, why not be ambitious?
Yeah.
Why not be ambitious?
Well, they're in the pole position, but historically, when you look at, other markets, it wasn't server vendors that drove virtualization. It wasn't, the Avaya and Nortels that drove voice over IP, right? It was, if we get VoIP, that was a Cisco, thing. And so very rarely do the incumbents make their way through.
Right.
I do think the CEO change from Barack, super popular CEO,
Everybody adored
and
him.
Enoch
He's
Weiss,
wonderful.
super popular CMO, and Barry Cooper, right, are very well timed just because the industry is changing. And I'm not saying Barack couldn't have led the company through here.
Absolutely not. No,
I'm just saying that new market, new buyers, new leadership isn't a bad thing.
I think so,
Yeah.
and I think it's exciting, especially because AI it's like the .com, right? We're entering a new era.
Yeah.
I think somebody said yesterday, what was it? We're gonna see more growth in 5 years than we've seen in the past 50
Yeah.
in terms of technology because of AI. And so sometimes that means turning the page and not starting over, but trying something different. I think it's gonna be an exciting time. Another thing that stuck with me from what we've been discussing over the past couple of days here in Vienna is this idea of security, privacy, and AI governance strategies and governance policies, even AI ethics. I think that's something that NiCE could really lead the way on, and I'm excited to see how they evolve and how they bring that to the front, especially with Scott's time here and what he chooses to do. But I think that'll be another big conversation in 2026, is figuring out how you use AI, what sort of limitations you want to put on it, how you treat the customer data. Of course, sometimes that's mandated, but it is something that you need to have in place, and that's a conversation that I hope NiCE can be at the forefront of, because I think that is a gap right now in this market that is waiting to be filled.
Yeah, and so I guess my closing thoughts here are that they've got the platform, they've added Cognigy, which really rounds out a nice suite. I think the fact that they now fully run on AWS makes them infinitely scalable. They talked a lot about openness, and I think the opening we talked about the importance of the broader world of CX,
Right.
and so that'll help them there. And so I think they certainly have a lead over the other Gartner MQ competitors. I guess now it's time to execute. So
Yeah. Now it's time to execute. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you
that's
have
the
a
hard
chance,
part.
right? Especially because when there's a lot of people out there hoping you'll fail. But
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, that's kind of exciting. But yeah, if you have the chance to see the Cognigy demo, find a way to see it. It's incredible. That's my advice to your
Yeah.
viewers. We can talk about it, but I think until you see it in action, you won't really understand how and why it's different.
Yeah, and if you just want to see the technology work, Cognigy's
Yeah.
used by Toyota, Lufthansa is another big one. I think Bosch is another one, and so those virtual agents are up and working now. I know they've had a pretty big impact, but I do think the demos are an important part to see, because they really do open your eyes as to what's possible.
Right.
And I was really blown away by the capabilities. These aren't just basic
Surprised.
co-pilots, right?
No.
They're actually doing a lot of deep analysis and things like, can you imagine trying to figure out, like, if we apply this and this, what our call containment rate's going to change, how it's going to change in 12. I mean, that would have taken so long to do manually.
You
right?
would have
So-
had to talk to a lot of different analysts
Yeah.
too to get an answer that you felt comfortable with too.
Yeah.
It's like getting a second opinion from a doctor, and I think Cognigy and the AI Assist, it's like 10 second opinions in one place.
Yeah. All right, anything else you want to add, then close us out.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yep, please check us out on YouTube, on LinkedIn, the CX Foundation. You can look for the purple and black logo, so you'll know you're in the right place. I'm Katherine Stone, and thank you so much. Been wonderful to spend more time with you, get to know you, and pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, so on behalf of Katherine Stone from CX Foundation, I'm Zeus Kerravala from CK Research, and thanks for watching. Give us a like and also hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on my next episode of ZKast.